Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is said to have many different revelations as well as saga-wide implications in this film by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. So one element of Episode 9 that a lot of people are really curious about is of course exactly how J.J. Abrams is going to handle Rey's lineage and exactly where she comes from and who her family really is. This of course ranges anywhere from Rey's father to her mother and other family members that will be a part of Episode 9 in some way, shape, or form. And I think that ever since this was all teased in The Force Awakens, a lot of fans around the entire world have wanted more answers to all of this related to Episode 9. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the set leaks, this is where things begin to get very intriguing for the character of Rey and her family. Now, specifically, it's described that one of the scenes that were filmed during the month of November 2018 involved Daisy Ridley and around 30 extras, as well as an unnamed actor portraying a man and a woman as Rey's father and mother. It's said to be a sequence that visually shows what happened to Rey's family during her time on Jakku. It's said to be a sequence in which an adult Rey is watching her younger self in a flashback, witnessing her parents being brought on board of a ship. One of the other characters was described to be portrayed by a young boy that appeared older than the kid version of Rey, where the costume design of this character was labeled as Rey's sibling. The outfit was described to be brown and almost like a Jedi Padawan style, however ripped and shredded where he had long hair tied back. Another sequence that was shot involved the young boy that was dubbed as Rey's sibling, placing his hand on the cockpit window where the ship is said to leave Jakku, which leads to when Rey says come back. The flashback is said to be initiated during her time in the Crystal Cave. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, we heard about this character very lightly, I would say, a couple of months ago, and even during the fall of 2018, last year. So what's really intriguing to me the most is that this probably does bring us back to The Force Awakens when BB-8 was asking about Rey and exactly what she's waiting for on Jakku, and that's when she says, for my family. Now, she could have said for my parents or for my father or my mother, but she said my family, and I think that her family is going to be quite expansive in Episode 9, and that J.J. Abrams wants to explore this in greater depth in this movie. After all, it was J.J. himself who said that Rey's parents are going to be a big part of this story, and that there is going to be a whole lot more to that story that will be explained, which is great. So let's go over this character. Now, it's said to be portrayed by a young actor that actually portrays a boy that is said to appear older than the kid version of Rey. So the kid version of Rey was roughly in or around the age of 11 to 12 years old, give or take, if you look at her. And in this scenario, the boy, alright, this boy portraying what is dubbed as Rey's sibling by the outfit design, the costume design of the character being dubbed as Rey's sibling, basically tells that he is actually going to be older than that of the kid version of Rey, indicating that this character is older than herself. They are not twins per se. So what I like about this is that it really does add more to Rey's backstory, it adds more mystery as to what happened to her family and whether or not this is her legitimate blood brother. Again, like I have always suggested, I'm starting to wonder on whether or not Rey's parents and this sibling character, quote unquote, is of course, related to her by blood, or if the parents just adopted Rey and they're considering that this boy is actually Rey's sibling, where at the end of the day, it's really nothing more than just being, a person that she lives with, or lived with at one point in time on Jakku. Now, the fact that the costume design is labeled as Rey's sibling to me speaks volumes. Now, we do know that Rey's family, her parents, whatever have you, is going to be a central piece of the second and third act of Episode 9. In fact, there are moments between both Kylo Ren and Rey's lightsaber duel in which Kylo Ren reveals new truths and revelations about Rey's parents in this movie as well as her family that's going to make her very angry and go through a certain phase and goes up against Kylo Ren by harnessing the dark side of the Force. So what I like about that is that we also know that there's a lot of mystery to the story here in the form of flashbacks. Now, this flashback is said to be initiated by the Crystal Cave, when the adult version of Rey goes in there and witnesses an event that she actually witnessed as a young girl. And she's seeing all of this taking place, you know, years and years ago before her very own eyes while going into the Crystal Cave, which, by the way, is the entrance to the Lost City, which is a place full of Jedi and Sith ruins. We're still not quite sure exactly what planet and/or world this really takes place on, since it is underneath the surface of a certain world, either in the Outer Rim or even in the Unknown Regions, since the Unknown Regions will play a role in Episode 9. So, guys, like I always say, Rey is a very interesting piece at this point in time, because we do know that JJ is really going to be exploring her origins, her backstory, and unexpected elements for the character as well. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.